Extraction stations.
Okay. The wiggling thing is wasteful. That's bleeding speed. Also, you need to work on cruise control. You need to be accelerating and let it coast. Accelerating and let it coast. Accelerating and let it coast. Another thing is, with a large map like this, if you take your planes on the initial spotting run, you run it down mid. God damn it. Ay. My back hurts. If you take your planes on an initial spotting run down B, then you're either going to turn off and commit to one flank, or you're going to turn off and commit to the other flank. You don't get to see them all. Unless you just YOLO right into B and you get so close to enemy ships you spot over here and spot over there. If you're going to YOLO, then it'll work. And if you're looking for a spotting run, you probably come over here, drop a fighter to block any DDs from going in, or to give your DD an idea as to what they're facing, and then you come south, spot mid, lastly spot the last flank. But if you wanted to YOLO, you might be able to get a lot of information off that, so that's an option too. But if you do that, you probably go ahead and pre-drop some planes just because it's a one-way trip, because you can see how many ships are stacked on top of each other. If you YOLO in here, you're going to lose a lot of shit. And again, definitely cruise control. Don't go at the speed of slow. You know, use the boost you have, just don't throw it away. So, this is just a sign of boredom. But when you do this, if your planes go 150 knots in a straight line, when you're going back and forth, you're going, instead of 150, you're going like 140. So you're just slowing yourself down by 6 to 10 knots. So just don't. You're not losing speed, but because you're pushing it this way and then pushing it this way, you're just bleeding speed. You're not putting it to good use.
Enemy force detected.
Although I think that might have been something that like Flamu did as a meme. Swinging on the planes or something. Swinging on the planes. I think I saw Flamu do a gig like that. Hey, Wolfgang. Thank you for the raider, sir. Okay, so now we've got... Oh. Okay. Well, alright. That was rushed. But it was okay. Harakaze had already used smoke, so realistically you're not going to be able to have a second interaction, so fuck it. I'm here and there's a Pensacola, I'll just go for it. Because you tripped across the Pensacola, you took the shot you were given. But you could have taken the time to set it up. Pensacola is a tier 6, you are in a tier 8. You have resources, you have the time to set up a good shot. Also, there's a New Mexico there, so you could have just struck the New Mexico instead for full value. Okay, secondly, you are very far away. Kaga, you probably want to place your CV about 1 grid square away from the fight. You could have moved in here. Realistically, who's going to shoot you? Doria probably has 18 kilometers range. If this is 11, this is 11, this is 18. You move up to here, you don't have battleship fire. Richelieu maybe takes a shot, probably has a range about there. Bismarck, roughly the same. Friedrich, roughly the same. So, I mean, you could absolutely be up in this area, or even potentially looking to play off this rock and save yourself, you know, 7 kilometers worth of distance. So instead of being here, which is 9 kilometers, you could be here, which would be 4. So I don't know, maybe more like you save yourself 4, but this is overly conservative for a very stealthy carrier, because we can even see that you have concealment. So you're down to 9 kilometers on your planes. So, you know, use that concealment, play up a bit. So Harakaze is versus your friend and the kid. Okay. If you're going to bomb like this, you need to be thinking about curl aspects. You saw that the DD was looking to turn, which means you put the reticle on the outside so that you can overturn on top of the DD. So if the DD is doing something like this, you put the reticle out there so that you can ride the turn onto the DD. Instead, you were taking the shot you were given by basically just bombing straight at it. Now, it did look like he might do some wiggle shit, so I mean, maybe. And this is not okay. Could he turn all the way to go north and give you a good shot? Possible. Likely? Not likely. Set yourself up for the best strikes possible. If you're going to commit 40 seconds to go from point A all the way to point B, make it matter. So if you imagine you're in a battleship, don't miss. Because then you're just sitting waiting for the next 30 seconds before you get to shoot again. It's very important in a battleship that you get, like, that you're aiming, you're hitting, you're interacting with the enemy. And in a CV, yes, you're keeping the DD lit, so that's good. That's an interaction, and your kid may be in smoke right now. But whenever you have the opportunity to make a strike, you need to try to set yourself up for the best strike possible. Otherwise, you're just wasting time. Trying to rescue this one. I don't know. Woof. No! Oh. So the recall there was wrong. You still had planes. One thing you have to remember in the Kaga is you have a lot of planes. You start with 3 full squadrons of bombs, torps, rockets. You just hover this bitch. He was extremely low. Your dude and the kid is probably going to get a few more shells into him and take him off the map. Yeah, your bombs didn't connect, but his shells would be connecting. You hover that. You take the plane loss. You give your teammate, you know, the spotting so that he can make the play.
Requesting assistance.
Okay. Again, you're doing midway drops here. Kaga has a longer drop. So if we look at, like, if we pretend the mouse pointer is Kaga planes are going to go up, sweep down, and sweep through. So they're going to have a moving kind of like audio wave kind of vibe. Midway bombers are going to sharply come up and then cut down in a direction and then pull out of the strike. So it's going to be a hard blip, you know, like heartbeat, whatever. Whereas this is kind of a slow blip. So there's a lot of rolling movement with the Kaga. So if you're coming in like this, looking to take sharp turns, that's a midway drop. If you're looking to come in on the Kaga, you put the reticle down here and you come after and roll in behind him. You're going to move while chasing. You're going to have to give yourself the length to catch up to him because of the rolling forward motion of a Kaga. Whereas coming in here, you're just crossing a T, which is a shit-tastic drop. And you're hoping that either turns out to give you a shot or that you're going to slam on the brakes and pretend to be a midway while he moves forward and you kind of roll your target on there. This is not a good approach. You need to be approaching from this to slide up behind him. Hey, Vega. So the Pensacola is getting hurt. The Harakaze is still gone. Cool. Kid takes him. Not a big surprise. So you let the Harakaze get away, and now he's so far gone, we have no idea where the fuck he is. He's probably out here because he's not in the cap. But unfortunate. So opportunity lost. There's a Friedrich over here. Cool. We haven't seen the New Mexico in potentially a little bit. This is probably the new focus target, if not the Icarus. Realistically, if you're going to strike the Friedrich, okay, sure, find the Icarus. Find this. You have a Fubuki, you have a DD that can handle this, but if you can give detailed information, the Icarus is here, then your team plays off that and probably kills the Icarus. Brawling in mid is okay, you're supporting your DD, and losing mid can cause an extraordinary amount of pressure when the people in mid move up and start exerting pressure on the flanks. Realistically, what this has allowed your team to do is have more teammates on both wide flanks because they committed more to the mid. So they committed you committed a DD and the CV's attention. They committed a cruiser and a DD and a battleship. And technically a Friedrich was still playing mid as well. So that was 4v1, although I'd say 1.5 because the CV I kind of treat as a half. And it looks like you're still reversing. It looks like you've just been slowly backing up. This does not seem to be the position you were at when we talked about moving forward. I think you're reversing here, so definitely don't be afraid to get engaged. You could play off this island. Granted, there could be battleship shells coming in on you, but you have a lot of people over here to shoot them back. And seeing a CV, taking shells in a CV does not mean just detonating. It doesn't mean just, oh, you're dead. Get wrecked. Taking shells in a CV, especially in a Kaga, which has shit-tastic armor, could mean overpens. Could mean battleships throwing HE instead of AP at you instead of your teammates. You can pull fire onto yourself. You guys have a health lead right now, and I would say you have a very large positional advantage. But the question is, how are you going to roll this forward? And there's an Icarus you could go after. Harakaze was fucked off a while ago, and I don't think we know where he is anymore because it's just been too long. And realistically, the Kagero is probably in Charlie holding this down against the Akazuki. So if you come over here, you can give some information on a DD. If you come down here, you can give some information on a DD. If you want to work on battleships, you need to be using torps. You need to be moving your carrier in closer.
Bye, Thunder.
Alright, so the Icarus is spotted, so at least there's that. And I think you... I don't know if you repaired the first fire. Maybe you did. I don't know. Alright, so the Kag is finally spotted. Akazuki v Kag. You come over to assist. Unfortunate. I'm trying to think, why didn't you recall there? I guess because you want to strike the Richelieu. Or potentially the Bismarck. You did latch fighters. There's going to be 5 fighters on top of you. You can heal through the majority of the damage. You heal right now, unless it's consumable mod, which I doubt it is. It's not. So you're going to heal roughly 50% of your available planes worth of health. So that's approximately 4 planes. Well, the fighter's going to be worth 5 planes. So you could heal and potentially lose 1 plane and be able to strike. But I am surprised that you're not chasing the Kagero. That being said, you throw away a few seconds. You get to thump into a battleship. You could make, you know, have a successful damage interaction and then go after the Kagero. Sure. To me, this is a breach. Breaches are extremely problematic. This is absolutely something that needs to be addressed before you have a surprise butt sex moment with all kinds of Kagero torps ripping this shit apart. But I guess it's not critical. Striking the battleship is probably fine. It is fine. It just seems awkward because this feels like such a time pressure relevant thing to be completely on top of this, to get shells into it, to take it out, to do whatever you have to do with it. Also, you could call the kid in for assistance. Alright, mass kills the fighter, which is cool. He was clearly reversing there. Because you had... Well... Alright, you got a torp into him. So yeah, Kag, and not torps, because you would be bombing the Kagero. You could try to rocket him, but the Kaga rockets are extremely unpleasant to deal with, so probably you would be using bombs. Not led fast enough. Or... Interesting.
Our team has taken the lead.
So, what is the best thing to kill DDs? Teammates. And the Ismail has shown you that he's willing to assist. Okay, I like the fighter to keep him lit.
Fighter airborne.
Ismail shoots again. Kid shoots. Down. So, using the power of teamwork makes the dream work. The Harakaze is over in Charlie. I suppose it could be a buddy that's just not spotted. And... You struck the Prince Idol Friedrich twice. Twice? Prince Idol Friedrich is dead. Cool. But you used to have 4 ships over here. Now you have 2. The Icarus is not dead. It doesn't take a big leap of logic to realize why you have 2. The Icarus is going to be dealing damage and causing pressure, which makes these dudes play in a way that's not to their strength. So I think if you had been able to go after the Icarus, exert a little pressure, that would have assisted your team down here more. Hopefully they would have rolled this flank by now.
Torpedoes, direct front.
So at this point, you're looking for, I guess, the buddy, because you have torps. If you were going against a Budnoi, the Budiani, you want bombs. Why? You could torp the buddy, but you can't guarantee that you're going to hit torps on the buddy unless you do some setup drops, etc. In which case you're dropping once, not to deal damage, but to set up the second drop so that you can deal some damage. Or you just bomb him, and then you can, you know, pretty reliably deal damage to cruisers. I think bombs would be the more successful choice here, not only for dealing with the buddy, but also dealing with a Harakaze if you trip across the Harakaze. And it is a Harakaze because we see the torps. But you have your kid friend, so the kid will probably take care of it. The way the torps came in was over here. What? Alright, well, that's potentially 2 torps into the buddy because he's reversing. 3 actually, because he's slow. Still reversing, which makes him not maneuverable. Weird. I guess he just felt he couldn't go forward because the island was there. Good news is you found the Harakaze. Hopefully he doesn't murk your Pensacola. Kid will probably come in behind. This was still very important. This was still extremely important to give information on. You have a unique ability in a carrier to be able to give information. And in fact, people used to complain, oh no, CV's opaque, they do so much damage. Oh, they do so much damage. Oh, it's terrible. Well, they don't really say that anymore. CVs have been nerfed several times. So outside of the FDR, which is an outlier, I suppose, people don't tend to complain about CV damage. They complain about spotting. Why? Because the CV is an information class in that it can have information interactions while not risking health resources. It's risking essentially mana, planes. So you're casting a detection spell and you're using planes as your mana to do it. That and time. So you came over here, you got detected, you were lit. You use that information and the torps you just saw to go find this asshole and drop something over him, as opposed to letting the Pensacola kind of trip across this guy. Because, I mean, your team wants to help, but when there's an unspotted DD, it's dangerous. It's extremely dangerous. So you just give some information, drop a fighter. If you can't torp him, fuck it. I mean, then you go after the buddy. Or you torp him to make it so that he can't evade easily, or you force him to smoke, in which case, now that your team knows where he is, knows he's in a smoke cloud, they can start to approach, you know, to be able to handle the threat. You just go right through the fighter. You're in a Kaga. That was incorrect. There's no reason to, Did you not have a full squadron? Okay. Maybe not. Okay. Maybe use 5 planes plus the buddy killed 2?
That was a great battle.
You must have not had a full squadron, because you shouldn't have been down to 5 planes. Okay, so you have bombs. You were just detected. What does that mean? The Icarus is around here. You need to find the Icarus. It's not about killing the DDs, it's about giving information. And you do have somebody else that we've seen has been willing to take shots at destroyers. You need to give him information. If you don't give information on the Icarus, this guy likely dies to torps, and then there's nobody in the south to cap. There's nobody in the south to pressure A, nobody in the south to bullet trap this and keep them locked up. Cool, so you trip across the Icarus. Alright. I mean, he's in smoke. Again with the weird It's not a midway. You can't turn like that. You need to give yourself more movement to be able to roll into the strike.
Affirmative.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
Fighter airborne.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so the Chkalov has a tier 10 fighter. So it has a 7 fighter break. So you had 12 bombs, you lost 7, remaining 5 planes. I forgot about that little gimmick or whatever for the Chkalov, that it has the improved fighter. Cool.
Good show.
What's the best thing to kill DDs? Teammates. Alright. And what's the best thing to kill battleships? Torps. Which is what you're in now. Make sure you drop a fighter here, not to save him from the Chkalov whatever, but to give information. He's in a smoke screen, he can't spot for himself. Drop a fighter. Give him the ability to keep shooting. I mean, if the battleship fires, he'll see him through the smoke, so that'll be nice, but okay, maybe you latched a fighter. I'm going too fast. It seems I'm tired. Okay, that's potentially 3. Nope, 2. He hard turned. Well, you'll win by points.